Alright, welcome back to another Adventures in Gaming with Andrew. Today we're going to continue with Medieval Dynasty. And if you recall from last time, we're going to be working on a farm. It'll take us a little bit to actually get there. But for now, what we're going to do is take a bath. Because as you can see, we're a little bit dirty. All right. So, as a reminder of where we are in building our village, we have one house that I live in. We have a well. We have a hunting lodge. We have a barn. We have food storage, resource storage. We've also built one field that has partial planting. And you can see that we have rye planted right now. We also have an orchard, 2 orchards, and if you recall, here's where the orchard are. We have some hops, and we also have plum trees, and the barn is here, so our first field is here with the rye. We are going to eventually need to collect some wheat grain and some cabbage seed in order to complete this mission. And if you remember, the chapters here are the only ones that you really need to complete. The others are just story quests, and as I said earlier, I am going to ignore most of these. I still might do this one, but the rest I'm going to ignore and just do this and work on getting ourselves a nice village. And so you can see we have the ability right now to build a barn and fields. Eventually, as we use farming, we will get technology points, which will eventually allow us to build more and more fancy items. We also have the ability to build a simple house now instead of a simple small house. We have the ability to build a woodshed and an herbalist's hut. So I will probably build a woodshed next, because the more you build, the more points you get for building. We will eventually get, as you can see, we have almost enough survival to be able to get a fishing hut. And eventually we'll get the ability to raise animals. So for now, let's look and see what we have. We have a little bit of food here. We have some rot, which, if you recall, can be used to make fertilizer. I'll put that in here. All right, so what we're going to build is, next we're going to build a woodshed. And what I think I want to do is have the homes are going to be along here. There's going to be various hunting and fishing along here. And I think I'm going to put all the storage near each other, which means that I probably would want the... Oops. Trying to think of what I want. Let's put the woodshed here. So we're going to need stone first. So let's get some stone. And sticks while we're at it. So if you put it in this mode here, it's sort of inspector mode, it highlights certain things that you can pick up, which makes it a lot easier to find what it is you're looking for. All right, 8 stone. All right, so hopefully everyone who is watching had a pretty good week. I'm hoping that I will have this probably posted. I'm assuming this is going to first load on a Monday, since I am currently playing this on a Sunday. And it's late, all my kids are in bed, and so I will probably finish this session and then process it first thing in the morning before I start working. So after the kids go to bed, but before I start working is probably when I'll process this, and then it takes YouTube several hours to actually process once it's uploaded. So my gut says this will first show up Monday afternoon to evening sometime, but who knows? Maybe I'll get bored or I will not be tired rather, and I'll stay up late tonight and do it tonight. Unlikely, but we'll see. So anyway, hopefully people who are watching this had a great weekend, had a great week. If you're watching this some other day, hopefully your week is going well. And if it's not, well, hopefully things will improve. I know sometimes they don't, but hopefully they will. Okay, let's get some straw. And while we play, so one thing, interestingly, that came up today, so it's nearing Thanksgiving, or at least Thanksgiving in the United States. My Canadian family, obviously, has already had Thanksgiving, and people who don't live in the United States or Canada might have an equivalent holiday, but anyway. So the topic of food came up, and that's sort of something that I am particularly interested in because I like to cook and I like food. But one of the things that I think is important is that everyone likes different things, and there are foods that people like that other people don't like. So one of the sort of interesting topics that came up on Twitter recently was, you know, foods that people like that other people don't like. And in this case, there was someone who I follow who she talked about liking ketchup And for whatever reason, some people seem to think that it's, I don't know, like their role in life to police what people eat. And one of the things that I have discovered is that nothing gets people more riled up than an adult telling you that you like ketchup. I don't understand it. I don't know why people seem to think that, frankly, it's none of their business what other people eat. But I think the curious thing about it is that everyone has to eat food, and every culture and every background and every family, for that matter, has certain foods that they like that are common either in their house or in their culture or in their region. But everyone has to eat. It's just, I mean, a fact of life. And there's a phrase, I first heard it from a friend of mine named Lauren, who also incidentally happens to be a brilliant knitter and designs knitting things. I believe, I think it's a bee in the bonnet is her, what she goes by. And if you're into knitting or crafting, highly recommend looking into it, as she's very good at what she does. But that's not the point. That's just wanted to plug it because I like it when people do things that they enjoy and that they're good at. She has a phrase, and I'm sure others have said it, but I first heard it from her, called yucking someone's yum. And really what that means is people like things, whatever it is, in this case, food, and you really shouldn't tell them you don't like it. The same is true, for example, for books. Some people like, for example, let's say romance novels or fantasy novels. Some people like the genre fiction. Other people don't. Some people think, whatever, that they only like certain types of books. But what you shouldn't do is tell other people who do like things that you don't like that they're wrong. That, or going out of your way to tell them that you don't like the thing they like. But here, for food, it is fascinating how many people, and there were multiple people, who told this woman on Twitter that her food likes were gross. As if they were sort of offended that someone would should have made more spears. But anyway, there were so many people, like more than one, which frankly, the fact that there was one is embarrassing, but there were more than one people who commented that, in this case, ketchup was gross. And I mean, for one thing, that's just objectively wrong. Like, I think ketchup is actually pretty great, and I eat it on lots of things, and I will die on that hill. But Even so, I just don't understand the mindset of people who go out of their way to yuck someone's yum, to tell people, hey, this thing that you like, I don't like it, and I want you to know it, and I'm going to sort of subtly judge you for liking this thing that you like. It's bad enough if it is deals with like personal preferences about media or fashion or art or whatever. But I think it's particularly bad when it comes to food, because food is something that can have deep roots. Food can bring people together. People often have deep memories about the type of food that they ate as a child, for example, or the type of food that their mom or their grandma or someone else used to make. And it is also just something that is necessary. So you need food to survive. And so you combine necessity with emotional connection, and food can be this powerful thing. It can be a way of sharing culture. For example, if you have friends of different cultures or backgrounds, one of, at least for me, my favorite ways of sharing cultures is to share a meal and to cook meals that you grew up with and to share that with someone. And so you can have this deep connection. But food also has, I don't know, and this is maybe me being personal because I love to cook and I love to create and I love to take raw ingredients and flavors and blend them together and make something that is not only nourishing, but is, I think, satisfying to the soul, if you will. Like, I really think that cooking can be almost this sort of like Zen like thing where you are connecting with the food and with people. And I know that might be a little bit too, some people listening are probably thinking that that's pretty weird, and, that's okay. But one of the things, anyway, one of the things that defines sort of different people is the food that they like. In every culture has foods that they make that people of other cultures may not like or may not appreciate. I'm trying to think. For example, certain Japan, sort of famous, for example, for among many other things, sushi. And certain, say, Morocco, famous for certain foods and spices, and India, or at least parts of India, because I don't want to paint with broad brushes here, because I recognize that there are sort of subcultures and food within different parts of the country. So I'm speaking in broad generalities, and so please don't think that I'm saying that this is sort of true universally. But at least certain parts of India famous for curries. southern United States, famous for, let's say, okra and greens. Louisiana, at least parts of it, famous for gumbo. And I could go on and on and on and on. Scotch pies and certain other types of meat pies in England, blood sausage, haggis, and and on and on and on. And certain of those foods are things that people don't like. Some people really love haggis, some people hate it. Some people really like okra, some people hate it. Some people really like spicy foods, other people hate it. Some people really like foods with cumin in it, others don't. Some people love cheese, others don't. And I could, some people like kimchi, others don't. And that's okay. That's part of what makes our, sort of human existence so great that. Sorry, I'm distracting myself trying to figure out where I want this workshop to be. So these are all storage. That's a woodshed. So why don't we build it next to the... Why don't we make it sort of adjacent to the wood shop if we can? We might not be able to. We might have to go back this way. Yeah, that's okay. All right. So anyway, I think you get my point that there are just myriad types of food and myriad types of cultures that have different food traditions. There's an author. Oh man, I'm gonna forget his name. Michael Twitty, I think. All right, hang on. I'm gonna have to pause and Google this real fast because this is, I think, going to be. I'm really bad with names, and so I apologize. Yes, Michael Twitty. He wrote, among other things, The Cooking Gene. But the reason I bring him up, by the way, his books are great, is he writes about the history of food and food as sort of different food ways and how they impact cultures, how food comes from different cultures, how his history is tied up in the types of food that he likes and that he explores. And I'm not really doing it justice off the top of my head, and I apologize, but I highly recommend reading this book, The Cooking Gene. He's also written, which I haven't read yet, I believe it's a book on the history of rice. But the reason I bring him up is because he so eloquently wrote about the importance of food and the importance of looking at food as history and food as culture. And I mean, of course, he's right. But the other thing to mention is that he's not the only one, of course. But I think that his books are really good. But he writes about those things. And the reason I mention that is because when you are attacking, say, a particular food, if someone says, hey, I like X, and you tell that person, wow, that's gross, or I don't like that, or whatever else, it's more than just the food item that you are criticizing. Because, again, food preferences don't exist in a vacuum, and people don't develop food preferences in a vacuum. And so when you are attacking a person's food, you are doing more than just attacking the ingredient itself. And so I think that I don't know, it says something about a person who goes out of their way to comment, because not only is it saying, hey, I am, I guess, better than you somehow because I don't eat this inferior thing, but also that my tastes and the things that I like. Sorry, I have a little too many logs. They're gonna roll around on me. You're attacking a lot more than just the thing. And so I guess my whole point, and this was a really, really long wind-up, is to consider, well, A, not doing that. Because some people love the thing that you're talking about, but other people who, I mean, if we want to not put too fine a point on it, are hungry and would be thrilled to have whatever it is that, you and your infinite wisdom are dumping on. And so just, be a little bit circumspect. Consider not dumping on someone for what they like. Particularly food, but honestly anything. If someone says that they like fantasy novels and you happen to think that genre fiction is somehow inferior, keep it to yourself. Nobody wants to hear it. If you like, or I'm sorry, if someone says they like romance novels and you think that, whatever, it doesn't matter what you think, keep it to yourself. People like what they like. And as long as what they like doesn't harm you, and I assure you that someone putting ketchup on a hot dog will never harm you. And honestly, if you're an adult and you comment on that, I feel a little bad for you, because that's honestly pretty embarrassing. I mean, it's just hard to imagine being an adult and going out of your way to attack someone for what they like. Now, and I will say there's a caveat here. If you're among friends and they know that you're not serious, for example, there's someone who I follow on Twitter. They're sort of not quite a parody account, but they're a law professor, at least I'm assuming so. And they frequently talk about the legal profession, or at least the legal academic profession. But one of the sort of running jokes that they have is about pineapple on pizza. And that's sort of a common thing. This person makes comments about it, but I happen to know, for example, my daughter, my middle child, who has had some significant health issues. Not quite as many as little one, but anyway, has had some health issues. She loves ham and pineapple pizza. And this person frequently comments about pineapple on pizza and will dog on people, but in a playful way. And the reason I know that is because after... Oh, wow, I managed to get myself stuck. That's why, by the way, there's an unstuck here. I really, really, really like that. I don't know why, but I really like that. Anyway, so I like to make pizza. Um, I do it often. Anyone that knows me knows this. And so my daughter, she had just come home from the hospital. And so I made her ham and pineapple pizza and posted about it. And this person who always, well, almost always makes comments about pineapple and pizza didn't. And in fact, specifically went out of their way to say, hey, this is great. I'm glad she's doing well. I'm glad she's eating what she likes, and she should eat whatever she likes. And that is the way it ought to be. So that was a person who knew when not to make a joke and when to make a joke. My dad used to tell me there's a time and a place for everything. And as a kid, I didn't really get it. So now we're in winter. I'm going to explain what this means in just a bit, other than the fact that we're going to freeze. But I forgot I had that. Anyway, so this person understood the point I'm trying to make, is that you can joke if the person is in on the joke. But I will tell you an experience that I had. I was at a sporting event, and I was getting a hot dog, and I put ketchup on the hot dog because, well, that's what I like. And the whole point of this, talk is that people like what they like. And this adult I'd never seen before, probably will never see again in my life, called me out and insulted me for putting ketchup on a hot dog. Now, the thing is, if I was a child or if I was younger, I would probably be upset or maybe offended that someone was insulting me. Fortunately, I am almost 40 years old, and I can't even begin to tell you how little I care what a stranger thinks about what I eat. But it was almost embarrassing, really, for that person. Like, just imagine being an adult, going up to a stranger and insulting them for what they eat. I don't know. Don't be that guy. And don't be the guys who were telling Michelle on Twitter that you don't like the foods that she likes because, number one, I'm sure she doesn't care. And number two, it's just like weird to do that. I mean, honestly, don't go on the internet and tell women like anything. In other words, like, don't go out of your way to say you don't like anything, especially guys. Yeah, I know you like to do that. Don't. But in particular, don't just tell people that the things they like are bad. All right, that's the point of this whole discussion. Okay, so sorry. I kind of went on something that I guess I'm a little bit passionate about, and you wanted to watch me play a game. So the reason I have a torch, by the way, is the game has an interesting mechanic. So this is the temperature. So this is the temperature tolerance for your character. This is sort of the temperature where that little arrow is, or triangle, I guess, is the temperature you're at now. If it moves here, well, you start to shiver. So let's wait around for a while. While we're doing that, we now built this so we can build things. But if you notice, to build things, you have to buy the scheme. So, for example, to make a basket, I need to buy for $50 dues. So now I can craft a basket and sell it for money, which we're going to do. By the way, see how it's slowly moving down? We'll get there in just a bit. So this, remember when I told you, so that says it's growing. So it would have turned yellow if it's ready for harvest. So plants are always ready for harvest in a new season. Each season is 3 days, and certain plants are ready for harvest. Here, I'll tell you. So if we select the seed, rye, for example, plant in autumn, harvest in spring. Wheat, you can plant in spring and harvest in autumn, or plant in autumn and harvest in summer. Oat, so on and so forth. Okay, so if you see on the bottom left how we're cold, notice where that arrow is? All right, so I get a torch, and see the arrow on the bottom left is going up. And in just a minute, I will show you. Notice how now it's in the green? Anyway, that's the mechanic. Is as long as you have a torch, you won't freeze, because the torch warms you up. Would a torch warm you up in real life? No. I mean, I guess a little, but would it prevent you from frostbite just holding a torch? No. But that's the game mechanic. All right, so what we're going to do now is, because you can't do much in the winter, can't. So what I'm going to do is harvest lots of sticks, make lots of wicker baskets, and then we're going to sell them. For 2 reasons. One, we're going to have to pay taxes in the spring, and I'd rather not owe a debt to the tax man if I can help it. But also, again, there's not a lot to do in the winter except stay alive and there's some food, there's some things you can hunt even in winter, but fortunately I should have enough food to well, if I had a bow and arrow, I would hunt that. But I don't. I just have a spear, and it would kill me. Oh, just a log. So. This, if you ever garden, by the way, winter is sort of when you clean up and you plan for the next season. One of the things that my wife and I are going to do probably over this week and next weekend is clean up our garden and start thinking about spring. So in this game, it's similar. winter is when you can start thinking about those things because there's not a lot to do. If we had townspeople, their wood usage would go up significantly in the winter as they tried to keep warm. And so that's why I don't have townspeople yet, because I didn't want to. Let's see. Do I want to buy this? No. Well, I guess I can't, so. Alright, so we're going to make 25 wicker baskets. Great. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to head north. Because I happen to know there's a village up here. I mean, based on the map, we all know there's a village up here. I'm also going to show you something else that's interesting, that's worthwhile. So this trip will be a twofer. So the reason, by the way, I made several torches at the beginning of the day was because if you look at the bottom right, that little icon next to the simple bag, that is the torch icon. And it tells you how much the torch is in use.
Greetings. It's best goods in the valley.
Yeah, all right. So notice we got 280 or 217, dollary dues. So we now have 280.
See you soon.
And if we look here, you can see that our taxes are going to be ballpark at 109. So let's see, what do I want? I want this. If you notice, by the way, that this blue just shrank, I should have done it before and after. I guess I'm not very good at this video thing. But that, I just took a point in, I'm sorry, in survival, this temperature tolerance, and what that does is moves this and this. So you overheat at a little bit higher and you freeze just a little bit cooler. Okay, so what I want to do now is I need to find some stone, which we're going to do on our way to this way. If I recall correctly in my exploration, let's see if I remember correctly. Oh, those guys, by the way, those are bandits, and if I get too close to them, they will attack me. How many spears do I have? Just one. So you'll see here, actually, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. All right. So you will see what I mean once you get close to them. See how they... Does that guy have a bow? Oh, yeah, he does. Oh, it's a crossbow. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Whew. Crossbows can kill you really badly. Anyway, so sorry about that. Oops. One of the great things about this is you can sometimes get interesting loot from these here bandits. Okay, so let's go get my spear. There they are. Ah, jeez. All right. So looks like we did pretty well. All right. Now where am I going? I'm trying to remember where this thing is that I want to show you. And all I know is, oh, okay, so it's up here somewhere. So, there it is. Now I need to get another log since I turned them all into spears. I'm gonna run out of water soon, so I'm gonna have to... I won't be able to show you much. Okay, one stone. Here we go. I'm gonna show you somewhere along here is... Aha, there it is. A cave. So caves are important because they contain ore. So there's copper here, and you'll also see tin somewhere. See if I can find it. Tin and salt. So that's how you get salt. Now, because I'm already carrying too much, I'm not going to mine, but this is how you get metals in the game. This is one of the few caves so far that I've found that doesn't have bears that like to live in it. And what that means is, well, you are less likely to have to fight a bear every time you want to mine. So once we get enough technology to get a... I'll show you. Here, a smithy. So we need 50 production technology. So you see here, you develop this technology by crafting and cooking. So every time I cook and every time I make stuff, I get points. And once I've got 50 points, I will be able to build a smithy. And then we will be able to take the ore and turn it into ingots, which we will then be able to turn into weapons and tools. And it's, you know, approximates real life, where you first start with solid metals, and then you make alloys, and then you make harder alloys. So copper, then bronze, then iron. You know, it's sort of. Let's see what else. There we go. So you'll notice every now and then it looks like I try to get out of the menu and it like immediately pops back up. It's because for whatever reason my keyboard, which by the way is a DOS keyboard, which was a very expensive mechanical keyboard, is double typing. In particular, the tab. And so a lot of times I'll hit it, but it will actually type twice, which will exit and immediately reopen the menu. And let me tell you, it's very annoying. The space bar also does the same thing. By the way, see there's some rabbits here. Those are one of the few things you can hunt easily in the winter. But I don't really need to hunt right now, so I'm not going to bother, especially because I'm already overburdened. But let us get back to our home. We can put down what we have and start planning on the next thing we're going to do. So the upshot with those bandits is now we have $419 dues, which is handy. Let's see, what do I want? Let's see how this works. That worked pretty well. Anyway, you can see that hunting with a crossbow is a lot better than hunting with a spear, other than it takes a very long time to aim, or rather to load it, so, you know, you're only going to get 1 or 2 shots off before the thing either attacks you or goes away. Alright, so what we're going to do is, first we're going to put this in here, we're going to put that in here, we're going to put that in here, that. Let's see, we could sell some of these feathers if we wanted, but they don't really, you know, we're going to use those for something later. Potion of weight in here. So one of the things about food is it goes bad. Ooh, wow, that was bad. So apparently it drops a little bit at that distance. File that away. Anyway, food goes bad in your inventory. It goes bad a lot slower in the food storage. Which is why I've been putting the least, the highest condition in food storage so it lasts longer, and then eating stuff that is lower condition so I can get rid of it. All right, let's go in here, light our fire. And let's roast some meat. Okay. Now, I don't know if you noticed or recalled, but before we had 19 and some odd points in production, I just cooked some meat, and so now we're up to 20 points. So it's a slow, steady grind to build, but then as you get more things, you get fancier things you can make, which gives you more points, and so it sort of builds from there. But one of the things that we're going to do is... I've already built a workshop, sorry. Build an herbalist's hut. And that is going to go... I'm going to build that across here. So one of the things... And here, I'll show you. Oh, well, yeah. When you assign someone to, say, the herbalist hut, you can set the intensity, i.e., there's percentages, and they add up to 100. And what that does is it collects a certain amount of items. And then as you get more technology, you can then have them make potions for you or make poison. And so let's look at, for example, the woodshed. You can set firewood, planks, sticks, or logs. And one of the ways that is helpful is when you get your villagers, they will then be able to collect, say, wood for you. And if they do that, then they will be able to, hopefully, if you have it kind of set up right, they will collect more wood than your other villagers need, and they will slowly start to build a surplus, which you can then use to build, so then you won't have to do what I'm doing now and constantly cutting down trees, etc. But that is in theory, anyway, that's how that's supposed to work. But that feels like a future problem. Or a future solution, maybe. Not really a problem. Because, well, we don't have any villagers yet. But what I'm doing here is I'm trying to build the infrastructure so that whenever I start to get villagers, I can immediately assign them to work, and hopefully, if I plan properly, I won't have villagers die of starvation. That's the plan. But, whoops, not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do. But we'll see together whether that actually works. Alright, so... we're almost there. Okay. We might be able to get this built before the day runs away from me. Let us find out, shall we? All right. Okay, I need one more log. Oops, sorry. Yeesh. One more log and a bunch of sticks. Oops. It'd help if I hit the tree, wouldn't it? So I will show you one of the things that the herbalist hut gives us is the ability to make potions. How many sticks do I have? That's probably not going to be quite enough, but we'll see. We will get this done. Don't you worry. Well. Well. That's annoying. Especially when I am already overloaded. Alright. Okay, so let us unload ourselves of some things. Alright, so let's get rid of this and this. Let's get some straw. What else do we have that is weighing us down? Oh, okay, alright. Let's put away some of our weapons, shall we? Okay, so we don't need that. Oh, we're full here. Well, that's really quite annoying. I guess we're gonna put them here. Sorry, I'm running in circles. We don't need that. We don't need that. Let's see. There we go. Like how it, the guy starts to pant if you use too much energy. Or if you use too much stamina. Alright. We're almost there. Okay, so we need 4 sticks, 1 stick. So it looks like we need 7 sticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There. Almost there. And there. What am I? Oh. I was like, there's nothing in here yet. Now we're done. Ah, so we can craft potions eventually, but see how expensive they are. So not yet, because we'll waste all of our money. Anyway. Poisoned ammo. Potion, poison, night vision. Health. Health is healthy. Health is helpful. So anyway, that allows us to make that. We will, next year, once we pay our taxes, then we'll have another year to think about things, and we will be able to buy schemes. Okay. So, we have 2 days left in the season. So what I think we're going to do here is make some actually, I wonder if it'll let me. No. We're going to build some simple houses. And that was not really whatever. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good, I guess. So we need stone, because what we're going to want is we're going to need a place for our first villager to live before we get them, because it would be really funny to bring a villager in and then they have nowhere to live and then they get really mad. Okay. How many logs do we have here? Ah, yes, great. So we're gonna do this to avoid having to run quite so much. Now I'm going to show you something that I think, after I get a drink, and eat some food, I think, yeah, see, that's that double thing. Yes, edit. So this is a wattle wall with window. I can now make it stone, wood, or wattle. If it's wood, it's medium durability, heat retention. Stone, obviously, highest durability and heat retention. But see, that was 1 log, 6 sticks. This is 2 logs, 6 stone, and that's 4 logs. One of the things you can do as you get better buildings is you can then improve them, and the higher heat retention and durability, the less likely you have to repair it, and obviously the less wood you need to heat it up. But it takes more to build. So let's do that. So what we have to do now is edit everything to be stone. And then the roof, we can make wooden tile, wooden, or thatch. We're going to just leave it as thatch because right now getting enough wood to do anything else would be just a colossal pain. Because you have to make a ton of planks, and anyway, it's annoying. So we're going to make some sacrifices for efficiency. Here, we're going to connect enough to build the whole roof, hopefully in one go. Interestingly enough, by the way, standing in water doesn't seem to affect your temperature any. You can go swim and it does not affect your body temperature at all, which, little funny, to be perfectly honest. Because, well, the last thing you want to do when you are out in the cold is get wet. So that's a safety tip for all of you. Don't get wet if you're out in the cold, because, well, it sucks. Also, that's why you should layer if you're going hiking or doing something physically demanding. Because if you have just one heavy jacket on, suppose you have that, and then you get... Oh, that's going to make me overburdened. You get sweaty. You can't then take off your... Oh. Building also uses stamina, I forgot. If you take off your jacket and you're really sweaty, then you start to freeze. And so that is, interestingly, a way that you can think you're well prepared to go out and end up in a dangerous situation. So, layer, layer, layer. Because then you can take off layers and you will be in much better position. Oops. I need 2 more logs. I don't know why I got a bunch of sticks. I forgot I changed it to be stone. So now I'm going to have to go collect a bunch of stone, not sticks. And I don't think I have any more logs. Yep, I've used all the logs. But we made a lot of progress, so that's okay. Let's do this. Anyway, so you've now learned today not to yuck someone's yum and to layer, which I know makes me sound kind of like a dad. But, well, I am a dad, so once a dad, always a dad, I guess. Here, I'll show you something. You can mine rocks. And every now and then you get limestone. But you can only do it on these sort of like big rocks like this. The little rocks, for whatever reason, you can't. So anyway, I do not apologize for being a dad. That's sort of my whole thing. And honestly, if you're watching this, that's what you signed up for. Weird ramblings of a middle-aged lawyer who happens to be a dad while he plays games that are mostly relaxing. I mean, that is exactly what I'm trying to offer. And so hopefully that's what I'm delivering. All We're going to hopefully finish this building, and then that will be the end of this video. And then the next video, we will have the last day of winter, and we will pay our taxes. Which, let's be honest, that doesn't sound very exciting. Unless you're a tax lawyer, I guess. Or an accountant. Or a nerd. But otherwise, not very exciting. But the other thing we're going to do is start really plotting our farm out. And if not the next video, the video after that, we will get our first villagers, which will really sort of change the complexity of the game. Because then you'll be managing not just your resources, but, well, other people. And you have to provide them with tools, etc. And we'll talk about that when we get there. And you would think that, being as how I'm a dad and, like, my whole existence is to, you know, take care of someone else, you think I wouldn't want to do it in a game, but you'd be wrong. I don't know what that says about me. Okay, let's go find some stones. And this is why, you know, you have to think twice about making the thing out of sort of better material, because it takes a lot more hunting to get the materials you need. Now, once we start mining, we will have more stones than we know what to do with. But for now, let's just collect them. Eventually, we will also get the ability to build a backpack, which means we can carry more stuff, which makes things easier. Now, if you do not like the inventory management aspect of the game, just remember, one of the settings you can change is unlimited carry capacity. And to circle back to where we started, and a common refrain for me as we do this, of not yucking someone's yum, but also just play the games the way you want to play them, is if you don't want to constantly be running back and forth and dealing with, you know, being unable to get everything in one trip, just turn on a unlimited carry capacity. I, for one, won't judge you, and I think that as long as you're having fun, then you're doing it right. At least in the game. Don't take that to extremes, because, you hear me, kids? That would be bad life advice of just because you're having fun, you're doing it right. Sometimes that's true, but not always. Sometimes the right thing is not fun. But in a game, the right thing is always fun. Alright, so here we go. And there we go. We now have a stone house, which we will give to our next, or our first villager. So let us eat some food and we will end the day early. Oh, well, we can't actually end the day early. I forgot. But I will end this video because we're now running well over an hour and 15 minutes. And I try not to have them being too long. So with that, I wish you all the best. Hopefully you come away with this feeling a little better than when you started. And hope that your week goes well. And with that, I say good night.